Hey guys, so I wanted to do an update, go over a couple things on my floor plan that I'm working along with with you guys, sort of here. So there's a couple things that I've added here. Obviously, I've done a little bit more work. I got some of my window and door tags rounded out here, and so then over here I have my door and window schedules. So this is what you'll want to do to put these together. Um, as far as I created a new text size here, sheet, not annotative. I made it 8 inches tall. So this is something that I'm only gonna display out here on my sheets, and I made it 1/4 inch tall. So this is always going to be at the same size, so I'm just going to display it and not worry about having to do any math or anything here. So to make these, pretty simple. I'm going to just draw a line. I'm going to offset this line 2 feet. Oops. No, not that. Not that. That was 2 inches. 2 feet. And then we can do multiple, and then just click down a bunch till you get all your lines. Place the text as necessary. Draw another line, and then this you can offset either manually, so I can go like this, and then just do 2 settings, and then reposition if I need, because I'm not happy with that right there, and right there. And then as far as the text placement inside, you can grab these, move them down. Though this one, the one for quantity here, I would go into properties and I would convert that to justify center, and then adjust it over just a little bit. And then as far as the code, let me close this. So the code here, I'm only using single characters. You might find yourself in a situation where you're doing, you might have more than 10. So you would have 10 or more. So you might end up in a situation where you would have multiple characters in each of these, or which is why I specifically made the doors wider. You can use any symbol you want. I really don't care which one you use, just as long as, again, you understand that these tags use a different symbol. So I'm using this little kind of rounded oval or rounded rectangle shape for my doors, and I'm using the hexagon for my windows. You could even do, oh, sorry, my dog's gonna howl. All right, we got our howls out of this. So, where was I? Okay, so you could use, I use the hexagon here. You could use a circle. And maybe if you were worried about your, whatever it was, you could shrink your font size down. And I could increase this circle size. That's something that would fit a little bit better. This might need to be shifted a tiny bit too. Like when we switch to Revit next semester, you might even want to use something like letters to indicate. So you can use as far as I'm concerned for my class, you can use whatever you want here. I'm not going to train you guys on if you're going to use International Building Code, if you're going to use whatever the NIST standard, National Building Code. You could be working for someone who doesn't care about building code. You guys could even end up just doing an entirely different thing. Like, some of these AutoCAD skills could apply to CAD, like CAD/CAM manufacturing, and you could be using AutoCAD, though you'd probably be using SolidWorks at this point. But my point is, there's a bunch of different things, a bunch of different standards that you could use. I'm just trying to keep this simple, and we're trying to blast through as much AutoCAD as we can in a semester. Okay, so let me get rid of this. So set that up, and then once you've got this, we'll go in and we'll do a CO. reference a known corner, and just keep copying those down. If you need another row, just copy the previous row, and then, oh, I didn't close this off either. And then we can extend this, this, and this, and that just gives you another row. So that's how to create a schedule. Don't forget to give it a title too. It's up at the top here. So we'll copy this one over. This is my new schedule. Boom. New schedule. There we go. So that's how you would create one. Obviously, you'll have to change the symbol. I just copied this one over. As far as naming things, so you're going to have to go through your model and double check everything. I mentioned that quick little hack of looking at your block list and then doing a snippet of this so that you could get your list of doors and windows, except that I think this door didn't exist, or it isn't used, and one of these two doors isn't used in the model. One of these doors isn't used in the model, and then one of the 3'6" window isn't used in the model. So that meant I had to go back in and change some things. And then I also realized, here's the difference. I have a 2-foot window that's a 4.0, and then I have a 2-foot window that's a 1.0. So I had to go and actually add another one on top of that. So I had to kind of renumber some of my things. So, and in fact, the 7 isn't even on here anymore. So yeah, I was in the middle of fixing that. Or it's incorrectly labeled here. Something's up with that. I never ended up finishing fixing it though. But schedules are kind of one of those last things you want to do, because again, if I have to go and add another window type, like I haven't finished doing this area of the house with windows. I might add a sliding door here and a sliding door here, and they'd be different sizes. So now I'd have to come in and add 2 new doors to my door schedule. So that's why, again, I kind of wait till do schedules till last, but I'm trying to keep up with you guys and make sure you know what's going on. So anyway, in the description you want to mention what kind of window it is. So this is a fixed pane. That would be just sort of your standard, because this is the one next to my front door here, so it's 1'6"? It's 1'6". That's not even right. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I was doing it pretty quick. So it's a 1'6" wide, 6 foot tall window. Most of you guys seem to have adapted and caught up to this pretty quick, so I'm glad that went over smoothly. So this is just a fixed pane window. There's nothing that moves. It's just a piece of glass that sits there. Whereas these ones, the 2 foot wide, 1 foot tall sliding dual pane, those are the ones where I've got a window in the bathroom that you can slide open. So I'm indicating what the action is, if there is one on these windows. Whereas the bedroom double hung, that's going to be, let me get an image. Oh, here we go. So actually, I probably should have marked it as a single hung. So here's your single hung. It's the bottom part slides open. Double hung is the top and the bottom can slide. These are great for getting a lot of air in and out. Whereas this is your standard kind of dual pane slider. So it's just one slide slides open. So consider not just the fact that you have a window, the width and the height, but also that there's an action that might take on that window. Okay. Let's see. As far as the doors, so standard with exterior doors is that they're solid core. Solid core means that there's a hard material inside of there. It's a security feature built into doors. Whereas your interior doors, they're going to be a lot lighter than our exterior doors. They're going to have what's called a hollow core. Let me get a picture for difference. So this isn't, it'd probably be easier to just give you guys a video, but I just want to cover this real quick. So the difference between a solid core exterior door is that you're going to have, you know, a fascia front and back, and then you're going to have some sort of frame, and then some sort of actual thing here in the middle. Usually it could be plywood, it could be something else. So you can see right here, there's, you know, showing that, and it's a security feature. It makes your front door harder to bust in. Whereas your interior doors are going to have this kind of particle filling, honeycomb structure thing. It could just be foam. Some might be foam. So you'll have different things that make up your doors as well. So you'll indicate that either with an exterior solid core door or an interior hollow core door. We'll also have, I have interior double sliding closet doors, so this is my weird size because that's the size of the closet. They don't actually make the doors this size. You kind of go and order a closet door that works for a certain size, and they'll figure that out for you pretty much. And then I have my 16 foot by 7 foot exterior garage door and my 8 foot by 7 foot exterior garage door. Remember, I have two of these because I did my wonky little thing that I like here so much, where you can pull a car in your backyard if you want to start a backyard car collection. Okay, so I mentioned doing kitchens too. I added a new category here for text. So I have sheet. Sheet is going to be a non-annotative, and again, I think I just reused one from here. Yeah. But this lets me label what these different things are. So DW, shorthand for dishwasher, sink is a sink. Range with hood, refrigerator, washer, dryer. So you will label these. I also put these on, so the dishwasher and sink are on plumbing, and the range and the refrigerator I put on electrical. Technically, those should some of those should probably be under a new layer called appliance, but I'm not trying to overload you guys with layers. Again, I'm not doing National Building Code or International Building Code or ISO 13, whatever it is. So for this, we're just going to go ahead and stick to, just label these in a way that's appropriate for the size, but don't go crazy on it. You don't have to do annotative. Just get it, do 8-inch tall text and put it there, just to label what those are. All right, so the other thing I needed to talk to you guys about is, roofs. So let me do a thing real quick. I'll clear off some layers here so we can see. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of my new schedule here. Okay, so ideally these would be kind of probably off over here so they don't get in the way. But I've already positioned them in my layout, so they're here. So I'm not gonna mess with that. Don't actually put them here though. I was just messing around with stuff. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you guys about roofs. I typically don't have you guys build roofs because they're kind of a pain. And so I'll kind of go over this, but so you guys understand what I'm talking about when I talk about roofs. So, so first let's start by creating a roof, and what we're going to do is we're going to create the overhang for the roof. That'll give us the footprint that we'll be working off of. So I'm going to offset this line 2 feet from the, 2 feet. And this will give us a baseline that we'll use for the building or for the roof itself. And then I'll end up having, no. No. Offset 2 feet. So I've got a lot of things to consider when I'm doing this roof. Set the radius to 0, do multiple. And so when I'm doing it, I'm gonna have to consider, where are different faces of this roof? Where are the peaks and arches and gables and whatever? But we also just have to start off with a footprint so we can identify that sort of thing. So I've got, this right here, which is going to let me make some of those decisions. Oops. I knocked off a multiple there. Okay, we're back. All right, so one thing I might do is look at this and go, okay, where do I want this roof to have sort of faces, right? And that's the difference kind of between where you might have a section of the roof that looks like this, where versus another section where this doesn't actually make any sense. So like looking from top down, I might have a section of the roof where the arch goes along the center here, And then you'd have just kind of a triangle face at both ends here, but this would be like a triangle face where you could kind of see that there'd be a little tiny, like your eaves would come down a little bit, that kind of face. Or is it the kind where you would have it comes up at an angle, and these are the kind of decisions you have to make all over the place, which is why I don't typically have you guys do roofs. It's, again, this is a giant pain to set up and get right. So, and I don't even know what I want to do with this one, so who knows. So what I'll do, let me go ahead and move my walls to a walls layer, because I don't think I've actually done that yet. Okay, so got this set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going through here and figuring out where my centers are. So for example, this is one center. I might have a center coming off of here, and then I'll have another one coming off of here. And then from there, I'm definitely one coming off of here. And then we'll have one, probably one coming this way. No, because that would lead to drainage down there. So this, and this is the problem, is you end up with a giant roof over here. So what I'd probably end up doing is just do a 45 off of each of these, 45 off of here. This is going to come up and intersect with this roof line. So it's just a bunch of kind of messing around and trying to figure out where things are going to meet. This is probably going to keep going. So let me figure out some of these other ones before I start messing around more over there. But you're going to end up working with a lot of 45-degree angles in this. So just make sure you turn your snap settings up here if you haven't already, for whatever reason, up to 45. This is going to come down here. This is going to come this way. That's a close one, so I'm not going to drop it right on top of there. This is going to come down. So we'll probably end up just using this as our main roof line here. So then the thing that happens here is that you can't have, if these are all the same roof slope, this wouldn't be possible. So this is going to have to come off at another 45. This would come over here. And then this would come back here. So you see how this is kind of starting to look like a roof from above? That's what we're going for on this, is that we get excuse me, these slopes right. And at least for the, for this house, I'm doing a fairly generic setup. So anytime you have, if this comes down, once this starts going over, I need to make it come at another 45. Trim some of this out. And so, like I said, I'm going to end up with a fairly massive roof here. And then, yeah, this is just going to be one of those ones that just notches in real close right there. Let me see. No, this needs to be... That one wasn't right. Nope. Because what you end up with is you end up with a lot of big flat planes like this. So you end up with this. So when this moves, it's going to go, this is going to go back, which means this needs to go up higher. And then this one, it needs to, oh, no, that was right. Okay. Stop. There we go. And then when it comes down, it'll come to right there. So we'll have kind of a peak right here on the roof. So that's approximately what our roof would look like. Let me add in a new layer here. So we'll have roof. Again, you guys don't have to do this part. This is just me kind of explaining what roofs do, so you know for the future. Roof fill. So this is just me kind of being OCD about the roof. So these ones right here are going to be my roof fill. We can hide that layer for now. This is my roof. So what I'm going to do with the roof is going to be another layer that uses dash lines. Oops. Right there. So we'll change this one to hidden 2 as well. Nope, clicked on the wrong row. Like, why didn't it change? That's why. Okay. Okay, so we have these dash lines. Again, this is indicating that this is something above our standard plane of projection. So when I do have my walls on the floor plan view, the roof overhang right here is going to be and is going to be something that's beyond that. It's going to be something that's sort of behind the camera view. We're not going to be able to see it typically. So that's why we do dashed lines like that. So now that I've got that, let's talk about how we actually put that together. And it looks like I had something on a mixed layer here. So let's see, there it is. Okay, so no. I wish they would make these buttons just a little bit bigger. Just recognize that whole space. Okay, let me switch all of this back to 0 layer because apparently it's on something mixed. Okay, so when I talk about roofs, I talk about the overhangs. So how do we handle the overhang here? Well, the overhang is going to be 2 foot because that's what we offset it with. So if I take this on my section cut, offset these edges 2 feet out, then we end up with the overhang itself. So that's, you know, when you look out your window, the overhang's kind of that overhang of the roof. Now, so the other thing we need to talk about here is going to be the roof slope. So roof slope is typically defined as either flat or a number over 12. And so what that means is if I'm flat, I have a flat roof. And a flat roof is never actually technically flat. A flat roof always has a slight slope to it, even if it's fairly shallow, so that you can get drainage, right? You never want to have a completely flat roof. Even if you go to something like a Costco, if you look around, you'll usually, if you stare at their roof, because you're weird like me, then you'll see that it actually does have a little bit of dip, and then where those big pillars are, they usually have drainage from the roof integrated in there. So you would have several of these in your, Costco, where the drains for the roof are integrated into the pillars throughout the building. So there's different creative ways to handle getting water off the roof. You never want water to sit in anything. So anyway, as far as roofs, what we define them as is their rise over their run. So if I have a 12-inch section, and then let me just do a bunch of 1-inch segments here. So you can't see it, but there's a whole bunch of little independent 1-inch tall segments right here, right? So as the roof slope gets higher, the number over 12 gets higher. So this right here is a 1/12 slope. This right here is a 2/12 slope because you're going up 2 inches every 12 inches. If we do 3/12, there you go, 4/12, 5/12, and so on. I think with, let me double check. Yeah, so just double check. So if you're doing something like a wheelchair ramp, for example, a wheelchair ramp has to be very shallow. So you need a 1/12 rise on that, which means 1 inch for every foot. So if you're trying to get a wheelchair ramp up 1 foot, you're going to need 12 feet of length of that wheelchair ramp. So watch out for that when you're designing other things later in the program, because they will get you on that. So we have our slope right here. So typically in our area of California, well, there's a couple different reasons you'd have different slopes. If you're in an area where there's a lot of snow, for example, you might have a crazy number, or you might have a crazy roof slope, right? Let me see what a roof... Yeah, so just a quick Google check said that a roof slope for an A-frame might be as high as 12 or 18/12. So if this goes up 18 inches, then there's your roof slope for an A-frame, right? Because you don't want any snow, you want this snow to come off this roof as quickly as possible. So you're going to give it a crazy slope. Whereas if you're in, say, a place where there's a lot of hurricanes, this is going to be a terrible roof slope for you to have. So you'll probably have a shallower roof slope. So there's different reasons why you'd integrate different roof slopes. 312, 412, 512, 612, those are all perfectly fine for this program. I'm going to go ahead and go with a 612. So I didn't even get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't even get to 612 in here. But you guys get the idea, right? Actually, let me make it because I'm going to need it anyway. So we'll do 1 more inch up, and then we're down there. So this is my 612 roof slope. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over here so I have a reference. The other thing you could do is just take this 2-foot offset and then double whatever your roof slope is. So first thing I'm going to do to actually build this is I'm going to go up 8 inches. And that's going to be kind of the eave / gutter height. And then from there, I can take my roof slope. Now, if I hadn't done that, then what I could do is just come over here, do 12 inches, and up 5. And that gives me the exact same slope. And then AutoCAD will let you take this, and it'll give me this little green line that I can snap to give me my roof angle right here, which is what we're going to do if I can get it to snap back to it. Okay. So why did I do all this stuff over here with the roof? Because now I know how high my roof is going to be at these various points. So I can take these lines that intersect here, and I can paste them over here, and I'm just going to associate them. Oops. I'm going to associate them with this corner right here, and then we'll just go up. So I know that if I have this slope of roof going on, did I not grab? I know it's there. Okay. So I know that this line, for example, intersects right here. So when it intersects, this is the peak right here, right? And then when it comes back down, it's going to have a mirror. Oh, I don't know. I was like, where's the cursor? Oh, okay. So it's going to have a mirror effect when it goes to the other side of this peak, right? So don't erase. And then when it continues running, so this part up until here is going to be flat. And then the other thing I have is this chunk of roof right here, so I need to know what the distance is here. Did I grab it? I didn't. There we go. Okay. So this is that chunk that I have right there. So I need to, using this distance, I need to know what the run is of this. So if I rotate this like that, and then we grab this point and move it until it's vertical above here with its natural run, we get that. So this right here, this height, who guys told you weren't doing trig in art school, right? Is going to be here. So this right here is going to be the height that I will have when it intersects this section of wall. So we will have a little bit of a peak right here. So this should be a little bit lower than, and it is. Great. So where this line intersects, we're going to cut this line, the roof will come up a little bit. It'll come up from here. It'll hit this point. It'll come slightly back down till it gets to this, and then it's going to travel flat across here, at which point it's going to drop back down over here, which is what we should end up seeing. So if I take, again, this and mirror it off the bottom center here, don't erase, and then let's move this up, line, and this should come across, and we can trim all the rest of this out. So now we know what our roof slope looks like there. So now I can go into my rooms and say, okay, well, now that I know where my roof is, I'll leave my toilet there. Sorry, I'm just trying to clean up. I don't like having a bunch of stuff sitting around. Okay, so this is what my space is going to look like. So now I can start looking at what I want these different areas in here to be. So this bedroom, for example, I'm probably not going to want this to be the size that it is. So let's trim out the ceilings in all my rooms real quick. I'm going to leave the closet at 8 foot, so that doesn't need to go anywhere. So let's make this bedroom, we'll give it a 9-foot ceiling because it's California. Oops. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog having dreams over there. How dare she? And then the entrance over here, I'm going to actually make this 10 foot. And I'm going to do the same with this area over here. So we're going to have a nice fancy little area over here. And then we'll do that up another 2 feet. And then the garage itself, we'll go ahead and make that at... Oh, because I told you guys do finished garages, huh? It's going to be 9 foot anyway. So we'll do 9 foot there as well. So we'll make that another foot. And then from here, we'll just have to extend... Oops. Our interior walls up. And then that will give us a more accurate set of lines. And you can see how kind of shallow that roof is. That's probably could have gone a little bit steeper. Okay, so now that I've got that, I need to also double check just a couple things. This right here is not a pass-through. This is going to be the space. This is not a pass-through because our window is right there, but the closet is behind my section cut. You can kind of see, here's the section cut line, here's the closet. So that closet's behind, so we're not going to worry about that. The other thing we need to do is trim out some of these extra spaces right here so I can do my fill. Oh, didn't want to do that one. Oh no, I gotta start all over. Okay. So there's no window over here yet. I don't know, I might come back and add one. This has a hole, this is where the door is, so I'm gonna leave this just with the lines, but we're gonna use the fill everywhere else. Okay, so now when I hatch this, there we go. So there is our section showing the different heights of spaces. So this is what a section is going to illustrate, is that we have different heights of these spaces. So this is my 8 foot, 9 foot, or sorry, 9 foot, 10 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot, 9 foot. So you can illustrate how these spaces interact with each other. Obviously, one story isn't too critical for that, but it does help if you have, say, like let's say I did have a 2-story. Well, I could show that there's a large opening here with a balcony and a railing here, you know, and maybe my stairs are where the section cut is. So there's different things you can illustrate. The other thing I want to point out is that this roof thing is a nightmare for you guys. I understand that this is not something that you guys signed up for. So when I tell you guys, when I show you guys how to do this, I want you to understand the principle here. But when you actually go to make your roofs, here's what I'm fine with you guys doing, because I don't expect you guys to do that nonsense, all right? I want to see you guys do your 2 foot offset from the 8 foot. I want to see it come up 8 inches, and then it is completely fine for my class if you just take this offset right here and just go, oh, don't erase, okay. And then just make every single roof like this. Okay, I don't care if you do this. This is technically accurate. It shows where the roof is at that point. This is not technically accurate, but I understand that this isn't going to happen. at least not at this point in the program. So, oops, so either of these is fine. This I completely understand. If you want to do this, you're on your own there. Well, not that you're on your own. There's other things technically that we could illustrate with this as well. So we might have a footing that comes down, and this is not an accurate footing, so don't judge me. So you could have a footing that comes down as part of the concrete pad as well. So there's different things that you would illustrate with this. So now that we have this, we have our wall, we have our section cut. The other thing that I wanted you guys to do is to create a wall section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my fill right here, and I'm going to grab this chunk of wall. And I'm going to keep this very basic for you guys because I understand, again, that you're in the middle of a project. So what we're looking at right here is how the, sorry, that was bugging me, is how your wall is actually put together. So when we've talked about, we talked about how the walls, I tell you guys, just use 6 inches as the wall thickness. Just use 4 or 4.5 inches as the wall thickness. Why is that? And that's because of how the wall is actually put together. So when we talk about that, it's a generic number for you guys to use, and we get way more into this in the Revit class next semester, where you guys will actually be doing this for everything. So what it means is that we have this chunk of wall right here. And so this is our inside faceboard, our drywall, and what we're going to do is we're going to offset this, and we're going to go 1/2 inch. Yeah, we'll use 1/2 inch. So offset 0.5 inches. So this right here, this is going to represent the drywall that's on the inside of our wall here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to, we'll just offset this. And to do that, we also need to talk about nominal sizes, right? So you guys have heard of a 2x4, right? It's 2x4, typically 8-foot long piece of wood. But when we talk about a 2x4, we're not actually talking about a 2x4, right? So this is 2x4 right here. But when you actually go to measure a 2x4, and I hope someone's covered with, otherwise I'm going to sound absolutely crazy if no one's covered this with you guys yet, is that it's actually 2x4 is a nominal size. So it's going to be 3.5 by 1.5. Oops. Oh, come on, snap. Okay. So an actual thickness of a 2x4 is a nominal size. What happens is they cut the wood out at 2x4, and then it shrinks down to a 3.5 by 1.5. So this is a typical normal thing. I promise I'm not crazy. I'm not full of it. This is a completely, totally true thing. So what you have is this 3.5 by 1.5 chunk, and what you're going to do is you're going to place it here. And let me grab some other images. Right, so here in America we have stud framed houses, or stick frame houses, however people want to call it. And so what you end up with is you end up with this bottom rail right here. That's going to be, so you end up with a concrete poured pad, at least here in California. You end up with this little bottom piece of wood here. I forget all of these terms. Maybe this one will help me out. Bottom plate, yeah. And then top plate, yeah. So you end up with these different pieces of wood all attaching together here. And so what we do is we're going to have to replicate this in a section. So we're going to have this right here. This is that bottom plate, and actually it's not going to be, because I'm already doing interior dimensions. So let's actually get rid of this one, because we need to do, this is an exterior wall, so we actually can't do that. We need to do 6-inch nominal. So a 6-inch nominal is not going to be 6-inch by 2-inch. It's going to be 5.5 inch by 1.5 inch. Oops, jeez, I cannot get this to snap right today. So 5.5, 1.5. Nope. Okay. So this is our bottom plate right here. And you can see how with the addition of this drywall, we've already run out of space here. So when you're doing exterior faces, you might also have other things here. So if we look at, let me grab, so like this is what we're working towards. I'm just going to have you guys do a fairly basic version of it, of this, so you can see what we're working with here, or where this is where we're going, sort of. But like if we have exterior siding, what we're going to have is we'll have, these are your studs right here. This is where the concrete pad would be. This is going to be, I cannot remember anything today, but this is where you would have a basement set up, or just it's built on a foundation with wood across. So this is that bottom plate. These are the studs. This is going to be a backer board of some kind. So with that, we would do, let's offset this another 1/2 inch out. We'll pull this up so that it matches right there, though that's not technically correct. But again, I'm trying to get you guys the idea, the principle of what's going on here. So you would have the backer board here. You would have some sort of building paper, damp-proof material, vapor barrier, plastic sheeting of some kind. Again, everything we're doing in this, we're trying to keep water off of it. So anytime you have wood, you have something to keep the water away from the wood, and then this little metal flashing helps the water drain out. Again, we're not going to get that technically accurate. Then there's what's called furring strips here. Furring strips are just these little 1/2 inch thick pieces of wood, and then and it gives you something to attach these to, so that if water gets behind this wood siding, it can also drain down to the bottom. So everything about how exterior walls are built is about making sure water doesn't get in there, but also expecting water to get in there and how to get it out as fast as possible. So you end up with this tiny little overhang. Here's another example where you have, and again, we're not going to get into this kind of level of detail. So yeah, 1 by 3 foot wood furring, so it's 2.5 by 1/2 inch thick strip. So you'd have that offset. Again, we will get into this way more next semester in Revit. This is kind of a distraction from this. So we have our base plate right here. We have our concrete pad, and then what we would end up doing is when we get to a window, let me go back to here. So we have these cripple studs. So these are studs that they're put in the middle of a window, and then you have these, you have things like your top plate and your lintel. So the top plate is what goes at the top of the studs, and then the lintel is something that goes across the top of a window, and then you have the sill. You've heard of a window sill, right? That's what the actual sill is. So we put these, the cripple studs, which are studs that don't go all the way to the top. You have those under your windows, and then you have your sill. This, and then anytime you have a window, you have these weird intersections here. So it ends up being this drawing where I would have to include my sill here. So I'm going to come back down, and if I was smart, what I would do is actually put this over here. So we do need to have an X in these. Oh, wait. I'm ADHD and all over the place too. So I'm going to offset this another 3/4 of an inch. Or sorry, not 3/4. So this is my backing plate right here, right? Or this is my sheathing. I'm going to offset this another 1/2 inch. That's going to be the space for the furring, and then we're going to offset this one another 3/4 of an inch. And this is going to be my oh, come on, brain. This is going to be my siding out here. So we've got 3 layers, or we've got a bunch of layers that make up this wall. So let me get this in here before I lose my mind. Okay. So we've got that right there. That's going to be our bottom plate. We're going to do another one here. This is going to be our sill. So this is going to be right here. And then, okay. So there is a line type for insulation. It's a bit of a pain to use, so we'll make our own insulation. What we're going to do is we're going to do a circle, And we'll do it about 1 inch tall. And then what we'll do is we'll cut this circle in half. And then we're going to mirror this. So we basically just needed to separate this out, mirror it, flip it the other direction, don't erase. And then this is going to be half as tall, or offset half the height from the other one. And then this is going to be whatever the width that we're working with is here. So I'm going to move these over here. The back of this is going to be, because we're just going to make this to fill in the area here. So this right here will be our pattern. So when we're doing the insulation, it's going to go, we're going to end up with a bunch of these right here. So if you just do half, wait, is that right? No, I missed one. No, that's right. So now if I was to take this little, hold on, let me just see if it works. So you should be able to copy this multiple times and create the insulation thing, right? So we can use this now to copy our insulation around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to here, and then we'll move it again to get it in the right spot. So it's right there. We'll take these and we'll just copy this up. So this is the insulation. And again, we'll get into the difference between interior and exterior walls and bad insulation and not bad insulation and whatever in the next class. But for this one, and again, there's a better way to do this, and I probably could do an array too. I just don't know how much an array. Okay, so when I get to here, another thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this chunk of lines right here. I'm actually going to copy this down because technically you don't always do a single, you would probably do a double. And then I'm just going to trim this out. So that's how we end up with the insulation. So what we're indicating here is that we've got our bottom plate, and then we would have to, we'll draw lines to indicate what's what here. We'll grab this as well. And then, actually, well, no, we wouldn't do this because this is the, so what we'd end up having here would be, and this is typically up to the engineer, but let's say that this is instead of 1.5 inch thick, you end up with something a lot thicker. So let's call this a 7.5 inch thick. What was it? No, King's. See, this is why I never. No, the king stud's the vertical one. This is the lintel. So yeah, I just forget all these terms all the time. Okay, so this is the lintel for our window. So we'll put this right here. And then we also need to go up to 8 foot. And I'm just double checking where 8 foot is. So it's right there. Now technically that's not the right 8 foot because it's going to be another 1.5 inches up. So we'll have, that's the bottom of it. Oh, actually, what am I doing? We've got this right here we can copy. So we'll copy this here. That'll be our top plate. And then we have one more on top that's the ribbon plate. I don't remember ever hearing it called a ribbon plate, but whatever. So then, with that in mind, I believe this goes extended only to the top plate. And then this comes in here. No. No, this is to here. And we'd actually have a slope here that would, so there's a whole bunch of different things here. At the end of the day, you guys aren't necessarily responsible for all of this. A lot of this comes down to engineers I want you to understand the principle of how these are built, the wall sections, so that you can build your own. Um, and then again, actually, let's get, yeah, let's not grab one of the ones that's cut in half. So CO, this, bring it right there, and take the insulation up to the top. I always hated doing insulation. Let's see. Did I get the right one? Okay, so we'll trim this out, get rid of that. Okay. The other thing we'll need is I created that new line types or the new font size, the sheet one. So that's a fine size for it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll go to under annotate. We've already done text, we've done dimensions, we haven't done leaders yet, so we'll talk about these. Again, those are, we saw a couple of them. You have these little leader lines indicating what's what. So we're going to be doing those real quick too, just to round all of this out. So we will have, yeah, this isn't right anyway, because this should actually go higher up for the drywall. You wouldn't have floating drywall like that, but um, don't go crazy. Just kind of make it look right for this. So this would be, actually this whole thing would move up. What am I doing? Okay. And then, and this is why I don't get into this class, because I end up going off into the weeds on this stuff. Okay. We'll take our pattern and we'll copy it again. Okay. Try this one more time. Okay. So, all right, back to leaders. All right, so we've got leader right here. We'll go ahead and open this up. We'll manage styles. Go ahead and start with the standard, and we can modify that. Format's going to be straight. I already changed the font and then screwed up and realized I didn't do this. So we'll do new. Again, we'll call this one class. Start with the standard. Format's going to be straight. Color's going to be by block. We'll just basically let everything inherit by block. We'll have a 3-inch arrow. We'll use a 1/2-inch break. Actually, no, not a 1/2 inch. I think default's 1/8 inch. Let's go with that. Maximum number of points for the leader line. Leave that at 2. We'll change any of this if we need to. And then use the sheet, or use it whatever font size. I created sheet. Sheet is just, like I said, a non-annotative 8-inch tall font size that I created off the other ones. Go ahead and use the rest of these. Actually, let's bump this up to full inch as well, just to separate it off of the leader line right there. And actually, let's set this at 6 inches, which should give us a little bit longer of a flat piece right there. Okay, so we'll use that, close. And so for this, I'm just going to start at the top here. And this is going to point out that this is 3/4 inch exterior, 3/4 inch exterior siding gray. Oh, right. And then we'll hit close. Okay, so that's our exterior paneling right here. The next one in is going to be our furring. Nope, not at scale. So then I'm just going to come in here, reference, where's the midpoint? Oh, we need to trim this out too. Because technically we have a window that's going in here. No? Okay. Oh, right, because this isn't. And I'm not going to have you guys actually draw the window, so just leave a gap. Some of you might even not have a window here. I just happen to have a window here. Okay. Let's do that. Why'd you do that? Stay up here. Okay. So we have our exterior siding. We're gonna go top to bottom. So actually, let me move this up here. Try and keep this little. I call it the elbow. I don't know if there's an official term for it. I'm gonna go here, and then we'll again reference that. Actually, sorry, we'll reference that. No, we'll reference the first one. So we'll reference this. Go right there. Try and keep spacing consistent too. So this is going to be half-inch furring 2Rs. It's either one or, well, it's always either going to be one or two. 2Rs, yeah. I'm going to take random YouTube images source. Half-inch furring. We need to fix. Let me go in here and see if we can fix that. I don't want it to do content, landing gap, text height, text style, text angle. I don't want it to do the fractions like that, but I guess we're stuck with it. So I'm going to try and keep these, but again, you want to make sure you have that consistent elbow there. So again, we go our siding, we have the furring, and then we have, technically there's another layer in here, and this is going to be our, oh, come on, brain. I want to say damp proofing. It's not damp proofing. It's we'll just call it a membrane layer, waterproof membrane. There's a different term for it. I can't remember what it is. Not important for this class. And then same layer, slightly further down, and I believe I made this one 3/4 of an inch. No, it looks like a 1/2 inch. I think it's 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch plywood sheathing. Not sheeting, sheathing. It's a weird thing. Come on. Again, I'm just trying to keep these kind of nominally spaced about the same. Why is this? Why are you like that? Oh, because it's taking the. Alright. Yeah, there's some setting where we need to fix that, but I'm not going to worry about it for this project or this really. And then we'll have one last one in here. And this is going to be our 6-inch nominal stud width. And then I'll drop it down a line because we've got a lot to go here. Batt insulation. Oops. So that's what we've got here. This is our interior 6-inch studs with batt insulation. And then we've got one more here. We should have space for it. We'll go right there. And this is our 1/2 inch drywall. And for the heck of it, we'll just say white. So that's how you would put one of these together. don't go crazy on this, just the basics. Um, we will cover these, well, you'll cover them a couple more times. I'll go more in depth in the Revit course, and because it's a lot easier to handle there. And then you'll also be getting some of it from other sources as well. And then actually we've got one more here. This is our, and this is not correct either. This is just our, we made it a 1 foot concrete pad, but I believe 8 inches is the standard for fill, and then we're not even dealing with the footer. So I want you guys to get used to this, get used to drawing these. As far as hatching here, let's do a, we need to close that off if we're going to do it. There's our concrete hatch, but it's not going to let me because this is not closed off. All right, let's hatch that again. Concrete. We will set the scale to 0.125. Nope. 16. Nope. How do we change that? Concrete. 28. Quick, going back to that. Let's try 128. We should see like a light sparkle. Nope. Oh, we're getting close there. That was what, 1/64th? Are we getting worse or 1/28th? Nope. 1/32nd. Hey, okay. 1/16th. 1/8th. How did we miss this? 1/4. There we go. Okay. So that's our hatch for our concrete. There's other ones you can use here. Let's see. We don't really have space for the rest of them in here anyway. So, yeah, just get used. I want to get you guys used to doing this because we will get into it later for other things. Just keep your simple wall. Just keep it simple. Just list a couple of these things here. Let me know in class if you have questions about what might go on that wall. But I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed by this right now because I know you're getting ready to turn your project in. So, but I wanted to cover this because at least I wanted to show you guys like, hey, this is why we have the different wall thicknesses. This is why I tell you guys just use 6 inches, even though it's technically thicker than 6. So there's that. So we covered a lot of stuff in here. We did our schedules. We did the section cuts, roof slopes. We did these little things right here. I'm gonna move this over here with my other technical things. And then just make sure that you guys label your different appliances. Technically, you can make an appliance layer layer to put those on instead of reusing electrical and plumbing like I did. But however you want to handle that, I'm fine with it. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything else you guys need. No, it looks like everything. We did the wiring diagrams for lighting, and I guess you guys have covered that in the other class as well, so great timing. Or at least I saw you at the end of your lecture the other day. You guys were covering it. So, yeah, you guys should have everything at this point that you need to finish Project 1. I'm going to go ahead and leave this here, and I will see you guys in class.